Welcome back to Talking with Ted for our final segment in the series on high elevation wildflowers. We know in Arizona, and it's a warm summer, that in order to hike cool, we have to hike high. We would rather hike in a refrigerator than an oven most of the time. So we have decided to present this series according to color. Now, as we've explained, that's not the most diagnostic way to learn flowers, but it's handy, it's convenient, it's familiar. For example, I mentioned last time about the exercise bands based upon color. All right, so I have installed a garage door opener, and the instructions are based on color. So that doesn't tell you very much about, the pieces or how they're arranged or anything about them, really, but you can easily follow the path to figure out what place you are in the installation. Okay. Nevertheless, even though it's handy, convenient, and recognizable, understanding, learning some common characteristics in the families will help you in the long run. The colors are the shortcut, easy, quick, but if you're going to continue to build your understanding of what you're looking at and be able to figure out what a new thing is compared to what you've already seen, then recognizing some family characteristics is important. And as we have mentioned as well, the characteristics that we're presenting to help you with that are not complicated, all right? So once again, this will be my last illustration of regular symmetry, all right? Cut it anyway, it's equal halves. Thanks to my friend Phil for the bubble wrap, okay? The other symmetry, of course, is bilateral, where you can't cut me in half and get equal halves, but only through one way. Some of these flowers that we're going to present, again, 7 in our final color, which is blue, are some family members are regular or bilateral, some are regular or radial, and it's sort of a blend of the two. It's not always cut and dry. That's living organisms. There's a continuum. So, and you want to remember it's a combination of characters, all right? And the symmetry, where it grows, the leaves, are they opposite? Are they alternate? Are they simple or are they divided? Okay? And how many parts? Many parts. 3 meris, 5 meris. Okay, you pick up just a few of those easily to recognize aspects, and you will be able to use a common guide to narrow down from the 4,000 species that are out there to the one you're looking at. Okay, that's the goal. All right, now this first family is the iris family, and you are familiar with iris, no doubt, sometimes called flags. And that is one aspect that helps to distinguish them. This group of plants, this family, are among the monocots. Okay, what's a monocot? When a seedling starts to grow, it has a seed leaf or leaves, okay? Monocots have 1. Grasses, orchids, lilies, tulips, palm trees, all right? Dicots have 2. Maple, cactus, roses, things like that, oaks, and most of the plants are dicots. So if it got these grass-like leaves, parallel veins, and the number of parts, how many petals, sepals, stamens, etc., are 3 meris, 3 or 6, then think right off the bat monocot. Now the symmetry on the iris family is mostly irregular, but kind of regular, so that's not a very clear distinction. Oftentimes the leaves are in a basal bunch, so it's not opposite or alternate. Again, there's variation. There are usually some bracts, some not really flower parts, and they're not necessarily colorful at the base of the flower, okay? And again, you recognize what an iris looks like. You will find these plants in high elevation, moist spots, bottomlands in canyons that are fairly reliable, on the Mogollon Rim, southwest of Williams, Mount Baldy up in the White Mountains along the upper reaches of the Little Colorado River, and they are lovely. They grow out of a corm or a rhizome, a thickened storage unit under the ground, all right? That helps them endure some harsh conditions. Could be the winter up there, as well as sometimes the summer. It could be tough to endure the summer anywhere in Arizona. Okay, iris, that's the first one, a monocot, all right? And there are fewer monocots, so if you can recognize this got to be a monocot, that just eliminates 90% of what else is out there just by knowing that major group, okay? The next one is monk's hood. Now we have seen the buttercup family before with columbine, yellow, and there's some red ones also. This one, however, is bilaterally symmetrical, and it looks like the hood that you would think of in an ancient monk, okay? Deep blue, and it's just really a weird, funky shape with the petals, so it's bilaterally symmetrical. And most of this family are herbs, as we saw with columbine, so it's not a woody kind of thing. And this one, too, like columbine, wet places, moist places, West Fork, along the Mogollon Rim, canyons, stream bases, edges of lakes, that kind of thing. So that's where you want to look for these, and that's where you want to be hiking too, where there is moisture, where there is shade, okay? There are many parts oftentimes with this family, so not an easily distinguished 3 or 5, whatever, but there's just many stamens, for example. So the number is variable. You can't really nail it down too well. And I'm looking for the leaves, mostly alternate and divided. And these leaves tend to be larger as well, so not little tiny things, but pretty big. And the plants are big. They could be, 5 feet tall, growing up there among the shade and the conifers, and so they tend to get up a little higher, looking for light, okay? Monk's hood, buttercup family, let's throw in the genus Aconitum. A lot of poisonous members in this family, and this would be one of them, okay? All right, next, flax. And this, I mentioned the beauty and the depth of the red in the red cinquefoil in the rose family, and this one is like that deep, but it's a deep navy blue, and it's just such a rich. I knew a person's eyes that were blue, and I thought, man, I could just drown in those eyes. They just kind of pull you in, and they're so refreshing and alive. And so the symmetry is regular, and the plants can be tall, usually sunny hillsides or open meadows. This particular species, the leaves are not too big, they're variable, they're usually simple, and they're just an ancient plant, flax, from like in the Bible, it's important not just in an ornamental sense, but in its use of fibers, okay, for various textile kind of applications. So it's an ancient plant, been around forever, all over the world, and lovely to spot when you are hiking higher elevations. I've seen this a lot around the Prescott area, Glassford Hills, so not as high as some of these other things, but pretty widespread. Totally beautiful flax, the genus Linum, okay? All right. This next one is a family that you're familiar with, okay? It is the madder family, or the Rubiaceae. This is the family from which coffee comes, okay? You're probably familiar with coffee, I bet. at least to drink, but maybe not where it comes from, all right? So this particular plant, very small, only gonna be 2-3 inches off the ground, and it's kind of in a bunch. So you get this rather significant cluster of very small flowers, 4 petals, okay? And they're kind of opposite directions. You're looking at the face of it, so it's a regular symmetry. Bluettes, light bluish, kind of faded a little bit, so not the deep, rich blue that we have with the flax, but common along the trail in shady conifer forests up in like Wood Chute, around Prescott Lynx Lake. I've seen it there commonly and widespread. So you're going to come across it. Some of these plants, you know, where flax is tall and monkshood is tall, and you almost can't help but notice them. Some of these more diminutive plants, these smaller ones, you might overlook. So you've got to slow down, pay attention, because there are delightful discoveries in the floristic sense all around, okay? Bluettes, the genus Houstonia, sometimes the botanists put it in the genus Hediotis, but anyway, it's a madder family. Bluettes, a nice springy kind of enchanting little charming flower to find because it's cute and small. Okay. Back to the monocots. Everything else here is dicots, but again, we're back to the monocots. This is a plant called dayflower, bright blue, almost like a clown's face, you know, smiling at you along the trail. All right, not as tall as flax and monkshood. It's probably about 2-3 feet. Mountain meadows. I saw this extensively, like in Escadilla, a mountain up in the White Mountains. So it's bright blue, just a very cheerful flower. Monocot again, so it's 3 meris. You'll find these 3 petals, kind of a fringe, like a shape like a fan across the top, and that's what the petals look like. Very distinctive. So again, you've got leaves with parallel veins. Oftentimes they're flat-ish, like grass-like, because that goes with being a monocot. And again, another bract at the base of the flowers, and usually the flowers are just up by themselves, up at the top of the stalk. And again, so you have not just the shape, the symmetry, but how they are arranged singularly, in a bunch, in a cluster, in a head. What kind of arrangement that they present themselves, that is also diagnostic. Okay. All right, coming to 2 more. All right, some of these blue flowers, they're just rather stunning. Okay, yellow just is like, I don't know, it's just like everywhere. You just kind of decide that it's just so common, you might overlook it. The reds, you know, not quite as common, but the blues are just like distinct. They're just different. They just stand out and say, whoa, stop and look. Okay, this next one is Colorado 4 o'clock. All right, so as we've mentioned with some of the names, like evening primrose, this is the same with 4 o'clock. I think we have included it before in a different color. They'll tend to close up during the heat of the day. Datura is another one, but in the cool of the morning, the cool of the evening, then they're going to open up. This plant, a member of the Nyctaginaceae, the 4 o'clock family, the genus Mirabilis, they'll be in a big bunch. Could be as big as this table. Be about 2 feet tall, and it will just have maybe 100 flowers that not quite as big as the palm of your hand. Okay, and so you see that thing in full flower, you're just like, takes your breath away just about. And it's kind of a purplish, reddish, bluish. Okay, so it's not a clear blue like dayflower or monkshood. Kind of a pinkish, purplish color. Stamens are going to exert it out of the petals. Okay, the petals regular symmetry. The leaves are opposite, simple. Okay. Totally stunning. Where I saw this first and really caught my attention, even though it grows on my place here in Cortez Junction, the base, the trail starting up Blanca Peak in Colorado, so you'd think it would be called Colorado 4 o'clock, but it grows much more widely than just in Colorado. But it's just a huge, stunning display that you will not miss, and once you see it, you'll just be like captivated by its beauty. Last one, bellflower. Now this particular plant, a member of the bellflower family, how convenient is that? The genus is Campanula, and it is shaped like a little bell. Okay, doesn't make any noise, of course. United petals, radial symmetry. The leaves are alternate and they're simple. And they stand on a stalk 2-3 feet tall, and they kind of just droop over like they're little bells waiting to be rung. Okay, and when the slight breeze comes along and they'll kind of shimmer, you're not going to hear anything, maybe except in your imagination. But they are very distinctive. Again, the common names typically are very descriptive. Okay, they may or may not help you understand the relationship with other plants to help you continue to learn more within that family, but at least they are descriptive. Okay, so bellflower, that's our final blue wildflower, high elevations in Arizona. That's where you want to go this time of year, and I hope you enjoy this, and it will help build your knowledge base on what you're going to encounter. You're going to get so much more out of the hike if you understand some of the organisms that you're finding along the way. Okay, you won't see too many animals, you will see a bazillion plants, so enjoy. See you next time.